My name is Emily Kravitz. I am the Employer Engagement Specialist here at Parker Dewey. My role is to support you as you get micro internships posted, and I'm also available to take a personalized look at some of the challenges you may be facing with your early career talent plan, or if you've never really done any sort of campus recruiting or anything like that, can help you better understand how micro internships can be a great first step. One thing I want to note before we get too far into this session is that this is very much focused on you as an employer and making sure that I'm helping you with making better hiring decisions based on real-time candidate engagement data and skills data so that you can build relationships with individuals and with schools as you start to build out your intern or full-time needs. So we'll make sure that we're going to give an overview about Parker Dewey and what micro internships are, why it works, and then really share some use cases as well. We'll spend about 30 minutes talking through these topics, but yes, recording this session. And yes, we will make sure to send you the recording when we're done, as well as the slides. And I also welcome any questions you have in the chat. I'll do my best to keep an eye out for that as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and move forward. So, quick background to who Parker Dewey is. We've been around now for almost a decade. Since our founding, we're 100% focused on creating real experiential recruiting opportunities for our employers to engage prospective candidates, and we use a skills-first framework to see them in action. This experiential recruiting approach is time-tested and proven. We've improved it over these last 10 years or so to make it accessible. We've removed all the friction for you, the paperwork and the hassle, which I'll talk about in a minute, which would normally exist when you're making hiring decisions, which really makes it easy for you to capture data and respond to changing needs. And this platform does collect a ton of data, data that can help you improve early career recruiting, and it really can't be found anywhere else. It's data that provides insights on candidate skills that we know are keys for great hires, and also really data that aligns with the strategic goals of your organization and what your C-suite is looking for as you're thinking about recruiting early career talent in an era where a lot of budgets are being cut. So, what exactly is a micro internship, which is kind of the bread and butter here of Parker Dewey? But in short, these are very bite sized experiences that are both engaging to students, driving them to want to learn more about your organization, and really helps keep them engaged after they have interest. It also allows you to quickly see the student's skills in a way that's not captured from a resume and before you invest a bunch of time. And this is really what feeds the Parker Dewey platform, and it plugs right into your process without adding to your workload. As you can see, the investment to get projects posted is very small, typically around $600 or less per project. We want to really make sure that that all students are getting paid for their work. Most projects are anywhere between 10 to 40 or so hours of work by the micro intern, and each project is going to end with a student deliverable. Once a student turns in a deliverable to you, then they're done with that micro internship. If you're looking for more of an ongoing hire or a temp type of setup, this probably isn't going to be the right fit as a micro internship. But micro internships are really useful for helping you evaluate candidates for longer term opportunities. We also want to make sure that all of our micro interns are paid. So, how does the pay process work? First, there's no cost at all for you as a company to create an account on the Parker Dewey platform or to post a project. If you post a project and you don't see anyone that you like, you can close that project and there's zero cost associated with that. But students have told us time and time again that this is how they really want to be recruited. We usually have more than enough students interested in our micro internship project opportunities. Also, want to share that Parker Dewey remains the employer of record the entire time while a student is doing a project for you. The student is on our payroll and not yours. You don't have to worry about the administrative burden, any legalities, anything like that. We get the student's payroll information and we process their pay when the project is over. If they earn more than the threshold over the year, the micro intern will also receive their 1099 from Parker Dewey as well. All micro interns are independent contractors of Parker Dewey, and the student will receive 90% of the project fee, the total project fee, and Parker Dewey retains that final 10% to cover our administrative and HR burden. That's it as far as costs go. So why is it set up this way? What are some of the benefits? On your side as an employer, it just makes things so much easier. You aren't spending time onboarding or training, especially because these are, again, short-term projects, 40 or so hours worth of work. Um, on the student side, this also allows students to try out many different projects at different organizations, as well as different industries, and help students kind of understand what's out there. You do not need to tie work to any sort of academic calendar. They are available to post year round. You don't need to worry about the summer or holiday breaks or anything like that. Students are ready to work whenever you are. You can even post a project today when we're done talking, and I'll give you a quick look at what our platform looks like, and you can start connecting with students as quickly as 48 hours. So let's talk about why or how employers are using Parker Dewey. And I do want to talk about three specific use cases. Primary goal for a lot of our employers is to really use this as a recruiting tool, designed to help you do one of two things on that recruiting side. First, confirm fit and hire with confidence. And here's where you may want to think about a micro internship project as an audition. You see lots of resumes that are going to look the same. How are you going to decide if student A versus student B better fits into your team? A micro internship project can really prove the skills of the student and helps you understand what skills are also needed for the permanent role. For example, if you have a few students complete the same project and you find that they're all lacking with one specific area, that's going to give you the data that you need to sort of modify the training or the information that's provided to help a student be successful. Give students a 15 or 20-hour project, something that's not only going to confirm their ability to do what you're asking of them for a longer term internship or full-time job, but you're also getting a chance to see some of their soft skills as well. Because they're completing these bite-sized projects that they are self-selecting into, how proactive are the students in their follow-up? What does their attention to detail look like in the deliverable that they give to you? Is their deliverable error-free, for example? You can't always stand behind what's on the skills section of their resume without seeing some of those skills in action. If you do go to career fairs or other on-campus events as part of your early talent recruiting strategy, you probably see a ton of resumes that have very similar content, maybe the same major, the same GPA, and really micro internships are going to help you differentiate between students and confirm that fit. Secondly, employers are using micro internships as a way to build a talent pipeline or brand awareness. I've been hearing so much lately about companies cutting recruiting budgets or maybe not going to as many career fairs or not going to career fairs at all. And so these are a great resource, these micro internship projects, to build those relationships on campus, even to keep as a keep warm strategy. Maybe if you're not going to be going to something like you usually do, or you're not going to be going to as many events, you can still keep candidates warm by posting micro internships. If you have issues with renegs or ghosting or things like that, and you want to keep a candidate warm in a different way, micro internships are also great to offer before or after they start working for you permanently, as again, a way to keep them engaged with your organization. They're also a great way to connect with younger students. So, freshmen, sophomores, we hear from companies that by the time they kind of meet a student their junior or senior year, maybe it's too late. It's almost too late for them to become aware of your organization if you're a company that students don't necessarily know your brand name at this point. And so it really just starts to build a bridge to those younger students who can do those short-term projects with you, and then as a result, be more informed about your company and get themselves into your pipeline by the time you're ready to consider them for more permanent opportunities as they go through their academic programs. They're also so great to help students become more informed about their academic majors, that they're choosing the right classes that align with what you're looking for, and they're keeping you in the back of their mind as they're progressing through their academic experience. They will start to seek you out at events when you do resume more activity on campus because they've had a chance to get to know you through these micro internship projects. Finally, we also see a lot of organizations of all sizes use micro internships as on demand support. While this is great for companies of any size, we do see lots of nonprofits. If you're a nonprofit on the call or a community organization, a startup, small business, a lot find this option to be of value. It's also great for companies who don't necessarily have need for campus recruiting at a larger scale and just need some early talent help from time to time. For example, do you have maybe an event coming up and need someone to put together a list of potential vendors? That would be perfect for a get stuff done type of micro internship project. The student is still getting professional and paid experience, and this will benefit them in their career journey and have something to put on their resume. And for you as an employer, you're going to benefit from getting the support you need at a low cost and with very little administrative burden. I'm thinking about a nonprofit I just worked with, for example, that had an annual fundraiser. They brought on a graphic design micro intern who was able to design their program brochure for this event. So, just a really great way to kind of get some of those tasks done and off your plate. So, when you're getting help with a project, you're also getting help into our candidate intelligence platform, which I know our employers are looking to go beyond just individual assessment to leverage this as part of your recruiting efforts. And so, helps you build better relationships with students and get insights on the skills, deepen that relationship, better understand the cost per hire, understand who's applying, and really get the most out of what you're maybe already doing on campus. Or if you're not doing anything on campus yet, a chance to start to build relationships with schools if that's part of your plan. And in this environment is really key. So focusing on those first two use cases that I mentioned for using Parker Dewey, both confirming fit and building your pipeline, you can see that this works really well. You see, first, this is really a cost-effective way to recruit early career talent. When you're making hiring decisions based on real insights and not just hypotheticals or just a quick resume glance at a crowded event or a 15-minute phone screen, you're really able to make those better connections. You can post whatever you want year round with no deadlines or blackout periods, as I mentioned before, and they're just so flexible and they move very quickly. It also appeals to those companies who cite lack of time as a constraint for making hires. Um, and we make it just so easy to do this without a major time investment from your team. Recent graduates who complete micro internships are significantly more likely to stay into their first role. Again, this goes back to why this is so cost effective as part of your recruiting strategy. And they really better understand as students where their skills and interests fit into your workplace. And by the time they accept that offer, they have a better understanding of what they're getting involved with. And so, as an employer, you're also getting access to so many candidates' insights and skills through our platform. Again, the student has to be proactive to participate in a micro intern. They have to take the time to apply, to answer some short answer questions, to put out their skills and abilities. And then, in the scope of the project itself, are they turning things in that are error free? Do they have attention to detail? You're getting that opportunity to kind of review it from a full picture. So, recruiters, this is easy. Again, we're not asking you to revamp your entire recruiting process. We're not asking this to be a replacement for your traditional internship programs or anything like that. But really, you can look at micro internships as something that makes each step in your process more meaningful. This makes sense within your existing efforts. So, a few examples. Maybe you want to go to a career fair, or you have in the past, you've invested in the travel, the time away from your desk, and you do meet a lot of really talented students, but they never follow up after because they don't really understand what that process looks like in this day and age. It's not necessarily because they're not interested, but they may not understand your expectations for follow up. Wouldn't it be ideal, though, if a student could leave your table with some sort of action item relating to your company? Like, hey, I see you're interested in us. As a next step, apply to this micro internship, get a 10-hour experience trying out working for us. You can even post projects before attending the career fair. And so by the time you attend the event on campus, you now have sort of a pool of students that are eager to come visit you at your table. Are you trying to make a case to your leadership to recruit at a new target school? Post a project for those students and start to build that pipeline remotely, even if you're not going to be able to invest in travel until you're able to prove the worth of it. You can also use micro internships to evaluate candidates before or after your candidate visits, but because many projects are remote, you may find pipelines from students from schools that you don't typically target. Maybe you're looking to hire for business development representatives and you tend to go to the same 4 or 5 schools. Perhaps there's a great sales program in a different part of the country that you hadn't thought about as an opportunity to find candidates from. So I want to make sure we have a really good understanding of exactly how this helps with the confirming fit goal. And so we will work with you to design a micro internship that suits your goals. We have a whole team available to kind of help scope out ideas and concepts for actual micro internships that go live on our platform. Maybe you're listening to me right now and you're like, this is cool, but I don't have a project top of mind. But for example, you know that you have a need in the future for this entry level data marketer role. If you send us a job description, one of the things that we'll do for your organization is we'll take this description here and sort of unpack it. Then we'll offer some customized micro internship recommendations that'll help you assess the skills that are necessary. And we think about the skills that are needed and we show you some ideas on what a project may look like. You'll notice here in this micro internship project, you're not sharing internal confidential data. You're not sharing access to systems. The students are going to be able to do some research outside of your internal processes and tools. The students can do this independently and on their own without a lot of time investment from you or from anyone on your team. But again, as a result of this, you're getting insight into your skills and the skills that you have required for this position, like data analytics, for example. Also want to share some examples of micro internship success put into real practice. And so what does it look like in execution? Smith& Nephew is a large company with a great rotational program, but they didn't necessarily have the brand awareness among students on campus. They had this leadership rotational opportunity, but were struggling to get enough good quality students. With our help, they designed a project that helped assess the skills for this leadership program and did not require a lot of extra effort on the part of Smith& Nephew. The process was as simple as, okay, here's our products, pick one, and create a pitch deck. That was pretty much it. They were also able to determine who was genuinely interested in opportunities with them based on the students that took the extra effort to apply to the micro internship. We designed the process for the student that they're showing you that they're actively interested in this opportunity. They have to apply. Again, they're answering some short answer questions and they're putting effort into their deliverable to you. When the project was done for Smith and Nephew, not only did they have some great outside opinions on their products, courtesy of the students, but they also had actual insights and examples of the students' skills and abilities. They were able to identify 6 students based on the 12 that they had as auditioned micro interns and offered them full-time opportunities. And because the students now knew so much more about the opportunity and how the program worked and about Smith and Nephew as a whole, 5 out of those 6 students were very happy to accept the offer. 100% of those students were still there over a year later. So you see, there's so many benefits here. The students weren't on the recruiting team's radar before, but they were able to make impactful hires and accomplish this for less than 40% of their typical hiring cost. For those employers that maybe, again, in the state that we're in right now, don't have specific hiring needs now, but want to still make sure that students are aware of them and keep the opportunities open, here you're going to see some examples of employers who use micro internships with their talent pipeline building. 2 primary flavors that we're seeing here. First, looking at campus ambassadors as a micro internship opportunity. Here, you can bring on students to talk about your brand on campus, share opportunities with their classmates, talk about your career opportunities among their peers, and really just kind of share on social media or around campus. Not only is the student getting great experience here, developing their communication and maybe even kind of their sales skills a bit, but we also know how much students like to talk amongst themselves. Peer-to-peer promotion of your brand and letting their friends know that your organization is a great place to work is really going to pay off. Prior to Parker Dewey, I spent myself 17 years working in higher ed, all in career services offices, and I can very much tell you that word of mouth among students is a real thing. And students are sharing everything, both with their peers and on social media, in the classroom, and their student organizations that they're involved with. And so Campus Ambassadors as a micro internship project is a great way to get your pipeline humming with new energy. We will also see companies post projects that are very straightforward and not necessarily major specific and could be done with students that are younger, earlier in their college careers, maybe freshmen and sophomores, kind of similar to what I mentioned about a desire to meet students earlier. And so this is especially helpful for companies that maybe have preconceived notions. I'm sorry, where the students have preconceived notions about what your organization does. So let's, for example, pretend that you're recruiting for a large hospital system, for example. Most college students might think, oh, there's a hospital recruiting. They're only going to be looking for doctors and nurses. I'm looking for business roles, so that's not going to be a fit for me. So that's typical with a college student's development. And so they might pass your organization by if they don't understand the full range of opportunities. So in this example, Northrop Grumman had opportunities across a variety of majors, but the understanding from students kind of around was that their positions were only really applicable to computer science majors, for example. And so they decided to post a project in the HR space. We had a student in this case who had really no idea what she wanted to major in. She hopped on Parker Dewey one day and looked at different project opportunities and said, oh, here's an HR project. This looks interesting. I don't really know the company, but HR is something that I've been considering. I'm going to go ahead and apply. By taking a chance on a low stakes project with Northrop Grumman, which is obviously a major company, she not only became interested in HR as a career, but also as Northrop Grumman as an employer of choice. And you can see her quote here, where she said, I wasn't familiar with Northrop Grumman at all before finding this micro internship. I really had no idea how big of a company it was. And so more than half of our micro interns who take our post survey report that awareness of a company that they weren't familiar with was one of the major outcomes for them. So when you're trying to build relationships at certain schools or with groups of students and are looking to try something different, this is really an ideal way to go about it. And when you get a look at the real impact or longer term outcomes, it's also great for reaching different demographics. 80% of the students that completed micro internships came from underrepresented backgrounds. This is an especially impressive statement when you compare to students who complete traditional paid internships. When we look at that data, barely a quarter of paid internships are being completed by historically underrepresented students. Given that so many Parker Dewey projects are remote, it allows students who don't attend school in a major metropolitan area the chance to connect with employers for wherever they're located. Because these are short-term projects, a student can continue to take class, work their part-time job, take care of some of their other responsibilities without any disruption to that routine. You can also see the average cost per hire for campus recruiting shows a real impact here, 40 to 80% savings. And look at the retention rate. for students that complete micro-internships. It's almost 100%. So using micro-internships to help students find their fit really does make a difference. And by giving students an opportunity to work on these projects and paying them to do it, it leads to more time and cost effectiveness for hiring and really creates more equitable opportunities. So Parker Dewey is a resource for employers of all shapes and sizes. You can be a well-known brand that has no shortage of applicants or is dealing with the application avalanche that we talk so much about, but maybe are looking to cut through the noise a bit or have uncertainty with this year's needs or trying to look beyond your normal feeder schools. Or you might be a small company, a nonprofit, a local, a startup, and maybe just less known among the type of population that you're looking to recruit from. And so Parker Dewey is a great resource for any size organization. And so now we have that third use case that I want to talk about as well, is that get stuff done. And so I'm looking over here at my own to-do list. We all have things that come off that we wish we could give to somebody else to tackle for us. So many great options to consider a micro intern. Need help during a busy time of year or planning an event, someone to create a social media planning content calendar ahead of time that you can plug and play at your leisure. All great opportunities to kind of bring a student on for that get stuff done mentality. We still want to make sure that these projects include specific deliverables and have professional skills. And our team, again, we're happy to work with you to write a great project. So now that we've covered how easy it is to use Parker Dewey and shared some use cases, I want to show you basically how you can get started in 3 easy steps. So I'm going to give you a quick look at our platform and how you can get projects going. So I mentioned before that, hey, I might be interested in this as a concept, but I really don't know exactly what it is that I need to post a project for. And so we do have a project library here. These are not an exhaustive list. They're just to kind of get you started to think. So I have marketing and creative already open. So I mentioned creating that social media content calendar. So I'm just going to kind of click on this template here. This is all on our website. And this gets you directly into what our platform looks like and how you would post a project. So you put the project name, the department, the ideal start and end date. Again, most of these projects are 10 to 40 hours worth of total work. So you're going to want that start and end date to give the student enough time to complete that work. And you can extend it over whatever time that you need. And again, we can work with you to recommend some timelines based on what it is that you're looking to accomplish. Within this body paragraph here, this is when you start to put in a bit more about your company, what you're looking for the student to do, as well as what the deliverables are for the project. You'll also include the location and if the project is going to be fully remote or if you'd like them to come on site. As I mentioned before, you're always going to see up front what you owe for the cost of the project. And so in this case, again, the student retains 90% of the project fee. The student is only seeing that 90% on their side. They're not seeing your cost or anything like that. But here for a 20-hour project, estimating that it's going to be a $400 payout for the student and then the fee for you. That again is the only fee for working with Parker Dewey just on that individual project posting process. You can include some desired skills, like if you're looking for social media skills or whatever the case may be. Down here, we work with schools and colleges nationwide. So if you're looking to recruit from a very specific school, like University of Michigan, if you're a basketball fan, they may be on your mind right now. So maybe you want to recruit just from University of Michigan, or maybe you're open to students from any school in our platform. And so you can choose to leave that blank. So again, I can work with you one-on-one to help you customize a strategy that's going to work best for your recruiting needs. As we scroll down, you can also decide if you want to open this for students that are currently in school or even recent grads, or be open to both. And then we also have some short answer questions. This first question here, why do you think we should select you for this opportunity, will always remain. That's sort of a standard as part of the template. But then here you can start to plug in some of your own questions as well, like what's a current industry trend that you would incorporate into our social media calendar, as an example. From there, you can save it as a draft or you can go ahead and post. And typically within 48 hours, the project is posted live. So it's a very easy process. And again, I'm always happy to work with you one-on-one to walk through what you need to do. So as we wrap up here, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see if there's any questions. I apologize if you put some questions in the chat and I missed it. But again, if your needs are based on that either confirming fit and hire with confidence or building talent pipeline and brand awareness, I have my email address right here or the QR code as well. I'm really easy to find. I'm just at emily@parkerdewey.com. I'd happy to meet with you one-on-one to kind of talk through the strategy and how to best get started. And if you're like, you know what, I get this, I just need to get some stuff done, I just want to have this ready to go, you can go right ahead and get started and post your projects. So pretty straightforward process. Again, working with Parker Dewey is meant to be easy. It's meant to be something that fits into what you're already doing, but makes your processes much easier to understand. So I'm just going to stop the share here. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And if you want to unmute and just ask a question, that's fine as well. And other than that, I will stay on. Oh, here we go. Examples of projects from public accounting firms. Absolutely. So we are working with a public accounting firm right now. I'm not going to say the name, but just a very well-known firm in the industry. And they're absolutely recruiting, using micro-internships for their West Coast office to try to connect with students. And I'm happy to give you a little bit more detail about the specific project that they're going to be doing. And I can reach out to you directly just to kind of share that. And yes, will the presentation PowerPoint be shared? Absolutely. We recorded it. We will send it to you. You can watch it as many times as you want if you'd like to hear me talk. And then again, it has links again to everything that you need. And again, you can reach out to me directly if you get stuck anywhere. Okay. Any other questions? I might be able to get you out of here 3 minutes early, which is exciting. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this presentation. Thanks again for taking some time today to join me. I look forward to connecting with you as well and appreciate everything. Thanks again.